Hey guys, welcome back to the Mystic Manny Jen podcast, where we talk about all things spirituality, life, business, self-development, astrology, all over the place. And if you're here, it's because you have either just come across my work or you have been following me and you kind of follow what I do and see me on social media. And I know it's been a little minute since your girl's been on the podcast, but life starts happening. And, as they say, like life starts lifing. And that's really what it was is all these months of travel, working, photography, video, like all my retreats. It's been incredible. I have really, really enjoyed this whole process of even starting this podcast because like my whole thing with beginning this was like I wasn't going to put a pressure on me and I wasn't going to make it a strain on my schedule because I already have so much going on and I'm managing quite a few different projects and I'm traveling a lot, so I really didn't want to put so much pressure on myself because that is one thing that I do not like. And when I have that in anything that I'm doing, whether it's a project or like a new idea, if I start to get in my head about it and I get really overwhelmed, then I won't do it. So that was my whole thing with this podcast is to really just make it like when I have a download. When I want to speak, I'm going to speak. And if I disappear for a couple months, that's okay too. And that's just what it's going to be until I can kind of get a regular flow with it. And who knows, that might be one of my goals in 2025 is to, spend more time doing sound baths, doing like my YouTube channel, having that going and that kind of stuff too. So I feel like it's gonna ease into it. But yeah, I am happy to be back. I am in Florida right now. I'm in my last few weeks of being here. I think this was my last official, like maybe full week. I go back to Atlanta right before Thanksgiving, which is next week. And from there, I go to Bali. I go on a retreat where I will be participating and shooting it, similar to what I did in Mount Shasta and even in New York with ayahuasca. So I love that this has now become part of my life of like, I put so much work and effort and thought into my wedding business and the photography and the video, overseeing the projects, making sure everything is flowing smoothly. And this spiritual work is more of like my internal like what I need for me. So, it's not just like a retreat that I'm gonna go chill at. And like I think a lot of people have a misconception about retreats because, it's kind of understood that you're like getting away from the world and stuff and like you're more to yourself, which to an extent it is like that, but it's a lot of deep work. Especially the one that I'm going to now in Bali, that's going to be just such a powerful one. I can already feel like the energy from it because it's with the same retreat leader in that I worked with in Mount Shasta, and she is incredible. If you know human design, she is a manifester and she is a true manifester. And I'll link her information in the show notes and stuff too, in case you want to come across her work. I really love her whole method of like just like this divine pure love consciousness and like using energy work with like the sound healing and she has shamanic roots as well. She's from the Philippines. So she used light language and other different modalities to help people clear these blockages that we do have inside of us. And I think this is like an ongoing thing, to be honest. Like I don't feel like when I went to the Mount Shasta when we did some major clearings and like do I consider that like, oh, we did it once, so it's like all my clearings are done and I'm perfect? No, this is like a lifelong ongoing thing. You're going to continuously be tested. You're going to be continuously going through these life lessons that the universe is giving you. So, you know, as much as I want to say like that helped me, which it really did, it didn't like cure me. And I think people are looking for cures and like, hey, I want this to just, you know, like this, like a light switch, just turn on this magic channel. Now I'm making all this money and that kind of stuff. And it's like, it doesn't really work like that. So the one that we're doing in Bali is a windfall abundance retreat. So definitely more working with the subconscious, a lot of the ancestral clearing and that kind of stuff too, which is really great. I'm just excited to learn. And I think in this phase of my life of like, of mastering like photography and building a business and doing all of that and getting into coaching and all that kind of thing. Like now that I've done that, I want to become a student again and really put the put the learning back into me where like I'm craving to learn new things and new systems and new rituals that I can do every day to protect my energy, to call in, better relationships, call in better clients, like all of that. I'm here to learn and I want to help others learn as well. So I can't wait for that in Bali. But yeah, just a like a quick little life update there. Just wanted to brief you guys on a few things like that. Also, like with wrapping up my time in Florida, I've now understood that like my time here is coming to an end. I love being here. It's really taught me so much. And this will kind of go into the topic that I want to discuss today of grief. I recently just lost my ex's dog that was very close to me and really helped shape the way that I view animals and just expanded this whole thing of love into me. And so that's really opened up a lot with me healing around grief and processing these emotions. And it's so crazy how grief works is like, time does heal the wounds. Like you do feel better over time, but like it's these waves of like ups and downs and like it'll hit you at once and then it'll trigger all these other things. So that's really what I want to talk about today. And kind of the first part that I'll get into is also grieving like endings of chapters in our lives. So like ending, you know, this Florida chapter was all for me to come to Florida on my own, kind of you know, get away from the world that I was living in Atlanta with my ex. We just were not in a good place of like not understanding, where the future was headed with him. He wasn't giving me any clear indication that like we want to stay together or like that there was a future. And I really didn't like that. So it was like leaving that behind, leaving my family, like my sister is going through a divorce, and it was just like a lot to have everyone in the house with me when I'm used to living on my own. So I just needed to get away and like do something for myself. And I had never lived alone. So this Florida chapter for me was all about coming home to myself, doing a lot of work on healing, actually igniting all this stuff with the retreats and really putting time into myself. I don't really have a huge friend group here. I don't really hang out with a lot of people. I kind of stay to myself. I just kind of do my thing. I like to do long walks. I like to meditate. I've met a few really cool people, one of which who I am dating now, which is kind of so funny that like right before I leave, I end up finding this really awesome guy and we really hit it off. And it's been fun, just exploring that with him, but like grieving that chapter, like that this is going to be over where like I can look over here and I see the water. I can go hang out on like by the bridge. I'm walking through my bridge every day to the other side. I can walk to the beach. Like this chapter is coming to an end. And as hard as that is, and as much as I want to cling to it and I want to stay, like my roommate's been trying to be like, hey, why don't we like wait until April or something? You could stay another few months. And it's been great living with him. I've loved a lot of that, of just having someone in the house, but I've also now come to the terms of like, I really want to just get my own place when I get back to Atlanta. I want to make it my own. I want to be in my flow of my day and not affected by anyone's energy because I realize how sensitive I am to that. And although we have a really great relationship, we cook together, it's amazing. It's still having someone else's energy in your vicinity makes a difference in your life. And also I will kind of get into this of just like my roommate has a lot of stuff and like sometimes leaves things out and that kind of stuff. And I know I'm not perfect. I know I have some stuff out too, but like there's just a point of like I just want my things in my space and I don't want to see anything else. And I think at this point in my life where I'm 36, I just, you know what you want, you know what you want to be around, you know what you don't want. And so now it's just like really embodying that. And as I step into this next chapter, like really putting that into whatever I'm doing next of like, okay, well, I'm leaving this place, but I'm going to open up this new chapter in Atlanta and I want it to look like this and getting very clear about what that looks like for me. And for me, it looks like maybe investing in another property. I'm kind of seeing getting downloads for that of just like getting a townhouse or a condo or something just like that's just for me. Really, if I could just live in my studio, that would be super dope. But I would love to be close by to the studio, so in that same area, and I think that would be awesome. But yeah, like grieving this whole chapter coming to a close of like this timeline of being here, of creating routines, creating really healthy habits here. That's been really awesome. So like I I'm trying to honor all of that in a sense. I'm trying to honor Florida for like opening up this world in me of like, I can have this anywhere. Like, even though, you know, I might not get the water views anymore and that kind of stuff, it's been such a luxury and such a privilege to have that. And honestly, every day I'm like saying, thank you, universe, for giving me this, because this is just such a manifestation coming into my existence of just like I wanted to live by the beach and I got to live by the beach. And how cool is that? So, with that is just understanding and, understanding that chapters have to close, like relationships have to end, people and animals and jobs and whatever it is will end. The cycle, that's the cycle of life. And the major thing with that is like a new timeline begins. So this is something I wrote on my Instagram the other day when I had this really fresh information coming through of just like, we get so comfortable with what we have. Like in the 2.5 years I was with my ex's dog, his name is Romeo. We really developed this beautiful family bond. We would do things together as a family. We had like beautiful weekends together where we would go to take him to the park. And it was just like this beautiful time capsule of that. And to now know that like he's no longer physically there, like also that relationship changes too. It's just my ex and it's no more of the dog, which the dog kind of kept us together in a sense of just like staying in touch and being in each other's lives. And although I'm not the type of person to just like drop someone and be like, okay, I'm done with you forever, I don't want to speak to you. I tend to keep very open and like, friendly relationships with my exes because I don't view it as like an ending of the relationship ends the actual, friendship and stuff. I'd like to keep my friends, but it does end that chapter of like us having that family dynamic. And so that really did make me sad, like processing all of that. And Romeo helped me with like my maternal instincts and really embodying all of that. So that was just a beautiful thing. I really got so many lessons from having and being around this special, unique dog that had such a vibrant personality. And that he also really attached to me. And in his old age, I'm glad I could give him the life that he got. Like he got a lot of attention. He just really got to enjoy his last few years, which was amazing. And I think part of me moving to Florida was also detaching from him in a sense, because I knew as long as I would stay in Atlanta and I would be there, I would be very much attached to him. And I think handling his death would have been a lot harder if I was there, if I had to see it in person. I was actually in Florida when it happened, and it was actually much better for me to be away, to process everything, to get my time. And I was just sending him so much love and light, and imagining him on the other side, just like coming to my higher self and my ex's higher self, and we're welcoming him, and he's feeling like a homecoming, and he's feeling happy, and like I just try to infuse that good energy into it so that his transition into the afterlife is a peaceful one. And now when I try to tap into that energy with him, I feel that he's very happy on the other side, that there's like not this burden or this pressure to stay alive in this world. And he was really having it tough in his last few months have been really hard on him, where he's not able to walk and not eating and that kind of stuff. So like now he just doesn't have to worry about it. And he can just live on in that universe that continues on. And I just, whenever I feel him, I send him love. Whenever I have a memory of him, I just like get really happy and send him love. So that's been really beautiful. And so now that that timeline has ended with him, it's like a new timeline begins. A new timeline for my ex begins, where he has to learn how to live life again without his dog, and sleepless nights where he would be up taking care of him. And having a sick older dog is like really, really difficult. I will say that. I don't know how people handle having sick children and sick parents. It's really tough, and I send so much love to them, because it's a really hard hard to balance your life when you are taking care of others. So I think for my ex, this is now opening up a world of him to like, I told him, I was like, why don't you travel now? You didn't get to do much because you had to keep worrying about him. Why don't you take a break and like take a sabbatical? He's had a tough transition with his new job. And so that's this whole topic of grieving, of like grieving when things end, grieving when things are just really hard. One thing I will kind of talk about is like with living in Florida, and before these hurricanes came, I think it was when I did ayahuasca, I got a huge vision of seeing the water levels rising above, like literally rising above the condo unit and stuff. And it was a pretty vivid download of seeing that water coming up, and also understanding that like the world is changing, and that my time, like that was my indication on that journey of just like, okay, I need to wrap up in Florida. I need to get back to Atlanta. Because one thing that hit me when the hurricanes were coming, luckily I was out of town both times, so I wasn't here to experience it, but it's very scary. I've been here through some tropical storms, and it's scary how much like the wind, and you hear these howling things and you don't know what's going to happen. So like it's very alarming for someone. And I knew that I have to leave here, and I have to get back to Atlanta. But the thing that I realized is like I don't have family here. I don't have a lot of friends here. It's just me and my roommate, really. I have a few good friends, but like when like disaster hits and stuff, like you want to be close to people you love. You want to be feeling protected and feeling like you can do something together as a team, like you're not alone. And I think that reality sat with me. Just like if I stay here in Florida, I'm just staying alone, and I don't want that anymore. So my whole thing of moving back to Atlanta is now coming in with a new energy of just like, I want to bring community together. I want to be hosting more events and workshops and classes at my studio. I want to bring in practitioners that help people with nervous system regulation. I want to be doing yoga there regularly. Like I want to create this really beautiful space that welcomes in healing energy into my studio. Like I know that's what's next for me. And I know that I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to travel still and like do my retreat work. I'm supposed to still continue doing weddings, but in almost a different way. Like next year will be more focused on uh only a handful of weddings. Like I think I'm only going to um put out there that I want to lead only maybe 5 to 6 weddings total for the year, and I've already have one booked specifically for me to shoot. So um yeah, like I want to take limited number of weddings so I can feel fulfilled, and that's what I've done this year. I've took a step back completely of not shooting all the time, and it's helped so much. But even then, next year I want to do it even more because I want to concentrate on the community building aspect. I want to concentrate on the studio. I want to concentrate on the healing work, on healing sessions and doing healing with like my brides, with couples, just bringing more light into the world in that way. So by doing that, I will be, limiting the number of weddings that I take. And then also, having my team step up, and they're going to be doing a lot more work because they want it. They want the work. They want to be doing it. And I want to be able to pop in and out and like shine my light and like shoot some BTS and do some content creation and like leave. Like that's my goal in the next years to really infuse that, do more podcasts, start interviewing more people on my podcast, which I did my first one with my beautiful, beautiful luxury cinematographer, Catherine Vargas. I have been working with her for so many years now, and I love her energy. We really vibe well together. We have such deep intellectual conversations. We motivate each other. It's very supportive. It's a loving energy. I love their family. I love her husband, Ramiro. He's so passionate and into content creation. So we always make it a vibe whenever we are together. And so I interviewed her, and she's rather really quite shy. And when I introduced the idea of like wanting to do the podcast, she was like, "Oh, we can do it together." And I knew that like she was like going to be more quiet then. And I was like, "No, I want to do it with just you first. And then I'll do one with Ramiro. And then maybe we can do one all together." And she started getting nervous, but she did great. And it was such a beautiful, heartwarming, episode where like we both really opened up on, the whole femininity. Is that how you say it? Something like that. Bringing the feminine into our business, finding balance, basically her journey becoming an entrepreneur, a filmmaker, and now like her next level of like working on her healing and helping her daughter. It's just like this beautiful journey of healing. And I want to start showcasing that in my podcast. So that episode will come out soon. It's a really fun and funny episode. We had quite a few little outtakes on there. So that was really cool. We did it in the studio. So that's like more of what my next year looks like, is really bringing this community together, really embracing my family, my friends, and just creating this beautiful container where people can come and heal and be their best selves and shine their light. I think I want to call this podcast series where I am interviewing people. I want to kind of make it a series because it's more of like personal interviews, but almost like shine your light in interviews type of thing. Because I just really want to be shining the light on each person that I bring in, on what they do, what their magic is, and who they are, their story, because we can just learn so much from each other. I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think that's what this whole stage of being in this grieving process, of coming back home to myself, of giving myself grace and doing the things I need to do because, we have work, we have bills, we have lives, we have to get things going, we have deadlines, but also really embodying and taking care of myself. That's been my mode this last week and a half. And will continue to be the next few days as I wrap up this month in Florida, because then I go on to Bali And then once I come back from Bali, I'm only here about a week. Yeah, one last week. The last week of December will be my last week in Florida. And then I will head back on to Georgia and start that new timeline there. So that's the whole thing with grieving is like you have to give yourself time, you have to give yourself space, you have to honor yourself, you have to honor the feelings that come up. And something that's pretty typical for me is like I tend to avoid, I tend to stuff my feelings down, just like, oh, I don't need to think about it. And what I've allowed myself to do in this process with losing Romeo is understand that I have to take care of myself and I still got to do what I have to do, but like I have to honor my body. I have to honor my mind when I get the thoughts of him and stuff. I if I want to start crying, I will. If I want to journal, I will. And that's really been so beautiful to experience. So if you're grieving something right now, if you are going through some big life shift, I encourage you to honor yourself and give yourself time and space to really just process what you're going through. Because I think there's a rebalancing of energies happening right now. I think that um, the masculine energy, like for the masculines out there, they're coming to terms with like their feminine aspects, and vice versa with the women, with the feminine as well, because we're just getting this beautiful balance of that we have both energies. We have it all in us. But how do we, crack the code of like learning to make money and live these beautiful free lives when we are stuck in this system that really kind of suppresses it and has us in that state of fight or flight. So my whole goal is really helping people understand that we have the power to attract what we want into our lives. We have the power to raise our vibration, to send love, to operate out of the love frequency, and just be in a state of like a new world, which we're headed, like we are in this new world now. So we have to start embodying it. And I think 2025 is going to be a great year for people really stepping into what they want to be doing, what they're feeling happy and satisfied with, new ways to make income, new ways to bring people together. Like there's just so much exciting stuff in the works. And I do want to wrap up this episode with a card pull that I did before I jumped on. Just wanted to see kind of what the overall topics would be about, and I'm going to show them. So we have home. So this is all about shelter, safety, nurturing, warmth, especially as we're getting into these winter months. And usually winter is kind of when like some people get a seasonal depression. I have a friend going through it right now, and he's just like, man, it got cold and like I hate it. I don't like it. And so I'm kind of working with him on that to figure out what is it that you're hating about the cold, like get deeper with it and stuff. It's actually, I think it has to do with the home with him because he's not really happy where he's living. They bought a house, him and his brother, and they have to fix it up. And it's just like things are not getting done. And when our space is kind of a mess, our mind is a mess. So I think for me, this card specifically is just like home is wherever you make it. So right now, me being here, this is my home. But I've learned in these last few months, wherever I am, to cultivate that sense of home wherever I am. Like when I go back to Atlanta, I have a different appreciation of going back to my house, of just understanding that like home is that shelter, the safety, the nurturing, the warmth, how good it feels. So this makes sense for the season we're in. And then I also got grounding. So that's been really, really important these days is to ground myself, ground my energy. I have a tendency to feel overwhelmed a lot when I have a lot of projects going on, when I have travel in the works, when I have things coming up and people needing things. It just is like a pressure cooker. So what's been really helping me is grounding, and I ground through meditation. I ground through playing my beautiful sound bowls. I've literally been playing them every single day, and it feels so good to have that ritual of doing that. And so if you can cultivate your sense of grounding where you feel like, okay, I'm here, I'm stable. This is like, it could even be going out in nature, walking, like doing my daily walks have been incredibly healing for me to do those walks, and I will continue to do that when I move back. And I love that I've created this because I now do it wherever I go. So like when I was in New Mexico, I'd go on long walks, and I just understood that that's my time for me. So you want to start implementing things like that if you are calling this in. We also got solar plexus chakra. So your solar plexus is all about creativity, that sense of self, and like kind of just like embodying who you are. So the solar plexus is kind of in your stomach area above your belly button, and that's just like our creative hub, our creative source, life source, where we store a lot of stuff in there of just like feelings, emotions, that kind of thing. And how perfect to now get emotional balance as that last card in this set of stability, harmony, peace, fluidity. So, like, for me, what I've kind of understood with my time here is really getting back home and grounded back into myself, processing my emotions, the feelings, the ups and downs, all that kind of stuff, letting things go, releasing things, getting my emotions in check, that kind of thing. And then also reigniting this new creative energy in me. And I feel like what's going to happen is, like, because I was able to ground and really get in my body and like feel everything on this trip, now as I get into the next cycle of the Bali trip, I will be able to get creative downloads. It's already kind of starting. Like, I'm already feeling very inspired by music and integrating sound into what I'm doing with my meditations, with even my wedding videos and stuff. I just came across this awesome artist on Spotify. They're called Dreamlapse Dimensions. I love their music. They use sound frequency. They use all sorry, all different instruments and sounds and vibrations to really invoke some feelings into their music. And I just came across their stuff through Instagram, started researching, messaged the guy. Turns out they live in St. Pete too. So that's really awesome. So I connected with them to see if they want to collab on anything. Like, I would love to just shoot something for them because it's just like, they're dope. And the music has just been really activating new portals in me of just like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. And like, I love that. And so I also pulled two more cards from another deck that I just like found at my house the other day. And I don't know how it came across. It was unopened. So I was like, this looks cool. And it's like this Yogi Swami Sachi Dana Danda. Sorry if I said that wrong, but really cool cards. So the ones that I got is let total love, universal love emanate from within. So that kind of brings us back to that full circle topic of just like operating from that love frequency. And I want to read what he wrote behind the card so you can also understand, because I think it's really relevant. The more you think of your problems, the deeper you'll go into them. It's as if you are meditating on them, which is like pouring gasoline onto a fire. If you pour love on hate, that's like pouring water into a fire. Put in new constructive ideas and let those ideas take the place of the mental fixations. That's the spiritual way, the yogic approach. If you hate somebody, instead of trying to find ways to get out of that hatred, just ignore it and try to love. Think of love, 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 and the hatred will go away automatically. With regular practice of both physical and mental yoga, you can easily overcome challenges in life instead of worrying about them and constantly thinking about them. And I think so many people can resonate with this card, especially with what they're going through right now. I know quite a few people experiencing different things, and I hope that message resonated with you. And then the other card, so perfect. Accomplishing small things will improve your self-confidence. So that's been my jam this last few days and weeks, is like getting things done each day. But then like when I hit my point, when I'm done, I'm done. I'm not fixating on it. I'm not, you know, freaking out that I have to get it done. And if I don't, it's going to be the end of the world. I'm just outputting what I can and leaving to the rest. And so the back of the card says, you know what's wrong, but maybe you don't have the willpower to stay away from that. How can you develop the will? By discipline and regular practice. You develop that by doing little things. Don't start with a big job that you can't easily do. If you fail, you'll lose confidence. Accomplishing small things will improve your self confidence. Then one day, even the biggest thing will be easiest for you. Will means application and training of the mind, making the mind work in a positive way. It's achieved slowly. It's easy to say, oh, I'm not made for that. It's too much for me. Not everyone can do that. Such excuses are self delusion. Without will, we cannot achieve anything. And that's been so huge for me in these days of just like accomplishing these little tasks. Like I have to make photo albums and design them. And it's kind of like a tedious, like you need time to do it. And I have been putting it off because it's just been like I have other things to do and I prioritize that. And the other day I just sat down and I cranked them all out. I think I did 10 designs in one day and I was in a flow and I just got them out and done. And that's been amazing. And so doing small things like that or approaching it to where you focus on smaller tangible things to do first and then you feel that momentum, then you can work on bigger projects, and that's just how it's been working. So if you are kind of feeling the overwhelm of life right now, having a lot of things on your plate, you are in the right place because you're listening to the right podcasts, because I'm here to help with that. But I want you to know you're not alone in it. You're not alone. All of us, to some extent, are going through this season of change, this rebalancing of the masculine and feminine energies. We're all going through this. And I send you love. And I hope that you move through these feelings. Don't dismiss it. We have a tendency of just wanting to stay busy. And I could tell that, like, after Romeo passed, I just wanted to jump into work to like distract myself. And so I didn't allow myself to do that. I allowed myself to take a day off to really process, to even go out with one of my friends here and just be out in nature and just connect and be okay with that and not feel bad that, oh my God, I'm not working and that kind of thing. So dismissing that feeling of like, I have to get to work every single day. Like, it's okay to take time off. And that's what I was trying to tell my ex as well. He really didn't take any time off. He had the weekend and he went right back to work Monday and then he got sick. So your body will make you rest. Your body will make you rest. And it's just, if you know you need that time, give yourself that time and space, even if it's a little bit of time each day. I've now been developing my morning routine even into a better, powerful, more ritual. And so now I'm doing a mini sound bath, maybe 10 to 15 minutes on my bowls, some deep stretches. I'll pull some cards. I'll maybe write in the journal. I will try to meditate and then I'll get into my work day. So today is Saturday morning. I did all of this now before 9 a.m. And so now I've already done my sound bath. I've done my stretching. Now I've done my cards. Now I've done a podcast. That's all night before 9 a.m. It's been great. And now I'll do a little bit of computer work and then I will get whatever I can done today. But I do want to spend it with my man friend. We're gonna hang out, and I love that he's, in my life now. He's really just a cool person, and I love his energy, and we vibe well with each other. So we're gonna hang out and explore Florida some, maybe go to the beach. Just keep the day to just like be in peace. And I think that that is the vibe for my day today, is just get what I can done, be in peace, move on, wrap up things, get things done. And that feels good. So I'm happy to be back. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I will see you on the next one. And I don't know when the next one will be, and you don't know either. So just stay tuned. Take care, guys.